Can you hear me, and are you ready? Great, let's get going. Let's call this meeting to order. This is the Unified Fire Service Area, June 16th, 2020. It's not 8:30, it's 9:33. Let's begin the meeting. We'll start with public comment. Do we have anyone, Patrick? Anyone wanting to speak?
Let's check. Looks like nope, we're good.
And Cindy?
None.
Okay. So we have no public comment. Let's move to agenda item number 3. And that is approval of the minutes. That's page 1 of your packet.
Jeff Silverstein.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of May 19.
I'll second.
Mayor Bush.
Thank you. We have lots of motions, lots of seconds. I heard Mayor Hale to motion and Mayor Bush to second. Let's have any discussion on this motion. Let's have a roll call, please.
Bailey.
Aye.
Bowen. Bowen.
Yes, Bowen.
Bush.
Yes.
Demon come in? No, he didn't. Hale.
Aye.
Henderson.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Knoop.
Aye.
Overson.
Aye.
Perry.
Yes.
Silvestrini.
Yes.
Snellgrove.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Westmoreland.
I'm sorry, I missed what we're voting on.
The minutes.
Oh, yes.
Wilson. Oh, okay.
Thank you. Next on the agenda item number 4, this is the review and approval of the 2019 fiscal year financial report. Sorry, I misspoke earlier. This one is page 5 if you look in your packet. Tony.
Perfect, thank you, Chair Overson, board members. Patrick, if you could bring in our auditors, Jim Andrus and Will Averett, into the meeting, that would be great. But while they're getting brought in, I'll go ahead and kick it off. Grateful for the opportunity to work with Will and Jim this year. It was a little bit of a different year. Normally they come in and spend some time in the office with us, but unfortunately, as you're all aware, we weren't able to do that this year. So it was a little bit more of an electronic audit, but from our perspective, at least, went very well. And again, just want to thank Jim and Will, and it looks like they're in the meeting now. So we'll go ahead, if it's okay, Chair Overson, and turn the time over to Jim Andrus to talk about the financial report.
Go ahead. You'll need to unmute.
Are you able to hear me now?
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm impressed with your technology. I've been in a lot of these Zoom meetings, and you guys have it better than any I've seen. So thank you for allowing me to take a moment. This has been a very different audit season for us, as you can imagine. But I want to thank Tony and his staff for providing the documents and everything we requested electronically and very efficiently. The audit went well. We followed up on the findings from the prior year, and those were corrected. One of them was a budget issue, which has been corrected, and the other was a open minutes legal compliance issue, which was corrected. And we did not have any current year findings with regard to state compliance or any other finding that based on our testing. So we have issued a clean opinion, an unqualified opinion on the financial statements, and we've also issued a report on internal control and on state compliance required by government auditing standards. So it's as good as it gets for UFSA this year in terms of complying with requirements, and it's a clean audit. So I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions? I
Madam
see.
Chair, Jeff Silvestrini, I'll make a motion to accept and approve the 2019 fiscal year financial report.
Mayor Bush, I'll second.
A motion by Mayor Silvestrini and a second by Mayor Bush to approve the 2019 fiscal year financial report as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Bailey,
Aye.
Bowen,
Yes.
Yes.
Bell,
Aye.
Henderson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Knut,
Aye.
Overson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Silvestrini,
Yes.
Snellgrove,
Aye.
Stewart,
Yes.
Westmoreland.
Yes.
Are we missing Mike Reberg or,
Well, Wilson.
Wilson would have to be here.
okay, all right,
Reberg's not a member of this board.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim, for your time.
You bet.
Let's move to agenda item number 5. This is to consider the date of August 13th, 2020 at 6 p.m. for a public hearing to receive and consider comments on eligible judgment levies. Tony, you need to clarify?
Absolutely. Thanks, Chair Overson. So kind of really need a couple of decisions from the board here. As you recall, on our judgment levies, they kind of come at us in 2 waves. The first wave is the March 1 through September 15th, 2019 judgments. And we're able to approve those as part of the 2020 budget adoption path. And so that totaled $47,587. You've approved those through resolution. We're able to add that 0.00002 to our certified rate. The question on the table now is we've got the second wave of possible judgment levies that we can capture if the board would like. It totals a little over $36,000. What we need to do to capture that is to hold a public hearing. Has to be an evening public hearing, and so the county has given us August 13th as a date to do that. It can't overlap any of the other entities inside the county. So that's the night that they've given that to us. It has to be, like I said, at evening at 6. We would advertise for that. There's $1,000 or so worth of cost for it. And then we'd hold the public hearing and we'd be able to capture this additional $36,000. Last year, this number was closer to $9,000. The board chose not to move forward with this second wave of judgment levies. So that's really the decision in front of you today is, would you like to move forward to capture this $36,000? And if you would, then we need to set the date of August 13th and hold a public hearing. Hopefully that makes sense. Happy to clarify or answer any other questions.
Thank you. Board, what are your thoughts? No thoughts. So if we capture this, what's the expense? What's the public notice expense?
It's $1,200 or so.
But and that's
Yeah, no.
offset by the amount we capture.
Yeah, and just that. So when we ran this in December for the 47,000, this had a 34-cent impact on the average resident. So we're only capturing 30, so it'd probably be about a 25-cent, 26-cent impact per average resident in the service area.
I take the silence as no one is interested.
I'll just speak from my perspective. I'm kind of abstaining just because of Riverton's current actions in our movement, so I don't want to influence what's going to happen.
Thank you. Okay, I hear nothing from the board, so we're going to assume that no one is interested in this, or no one is interested in pursuing this. Is that fair? So if that's the case, do we need a motion to?
Nope, I think you just need to move on to the
Not-
next agenda
okay.
item.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Let's move to agenda item number 6. This is to consider resolution 06-2020A, approve fixing the service area's property tax rate for 2020. Tony, again, page 43.
Yep, so we're on page 43. Chair Overson, board members, you can tell me how quickly you'd like me to move through these. And I know we're well past our time, but I have, 8 or 9 slides here that just kind of give an overview of our taxable value. So maybe just make sure you've had a peek at those, but our taxable value for UFSA, 29.6 billion. Our eligible new growth for the year is a little bit under 1 billion. So you can see where that fits in prior years, kind of a little bit less than 2018, a little bit more than last year. Our collection rates are there, not a ton of change in prior years. We talked about the judgment levy. On page 48, you can see our property tax rates. Our certified rate for 2020, you can see it right there, 1715. That'll be the amount that we ask you to approve. We have the judgment levy down there. That the number there with the 0.3 would have been adding the new amount. So when we get to the resolution, we'll need you to adopt a lot of zeros and 2 will be the judgment levy amount. But you can see kind of our history of our certified or our tax rate there on page 48. Similar on page 49, you can see the revenue that our certified rate will capture this year. There you can see the new growth there, about $1.6 million of new growth that we're capturing, about a 3.3% increase to our tax revenue. The next slide, just an informational slide. Back when we raised taxes in 2018, one of the issues we were addressing was the gap between the member fee to UFA and the property tax that we were collecting. One of the goals was to close that gap, and that's what we did in 2018 with the tax increase, and you can see we're holding that pretty well still out to 2020. So last slide is the fund balance. You can see where with the audit for 2019, you can see where we ended up, 12.2 million for actual 2019, and then we're estimating with the budget amendments that you'll approve about a $12 million ending fund balance for this year. So really the last slide provides the rates that we'll need to adopt in the resolution. So the 1715 for the certified tax rate for general obligation or general operations. And then the top line there on the judgment levy. We'll just be capturing the first round of judgment levies. So that went quick, I know, but ultimately the main thing is in the resolution is just to adopt those 2 tax rates.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilmember Snellgrove.
I'll motion to approve Resolution 06-220A property tax rates and items as discussed and as outlined. I don't have a printout on memory, so hopefully that motion encompasses everything needed.
This is Jeff Silvestrini. I'll second that motion.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Snellgrove and a second by Mayor Silvestrini. Is that, Tony, is that motion, or Rachel, does that motion include what we've talked about? Do you feel good about that? The tax rates?
Yeah, I think that works.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this agenda item? Let's have a roll call.
Bailey,
Aye.
Bowen,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Hale,
Aye.
Henderson,
Yes.
Yes.
Knoop,
Aye.
Overson,
Aye.
Perry,
Yes.
Silvestrini,
Yes.
Snellgrove,
Aye.
Stewart,
Yes.
Westmoreland,
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. Agenda item number 7. Let's welcome Assistant Chief Don Burchett with us, and you have the floor regarding funding station construction and perhaps a pause. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Overson and board members. Thanks for your time this morning. The memo that I'll be referring to is on page 55 of your packet if you want to follow along. As was mentioned, my name is Dominic Burchett, and I'm the Assistant Chief over Support Services. So I started this job about 3 weeks ago, and the first thing really on my plate was to dive into the station construction project. Chief Peterson did a great job at gently guiding me down the path to discover what I'm presenting to you today. Since a project like this is new to me and my team, he asked that I create a spreadsheet of timelines and potential roadblocks as a way for me to kind of start wrapping my head around a project of this magnitude. It was a great exercise and learning process for me, and what I quickly realized is that I was uncomfortable moving as quickly as was originally outlined and anticipated. I discovered that we had really a couple of key unknowns. One of those difficulties that I encountered was we're about 2 months behind schedule on the Dark Horse software. And I don't want to sit here and blame everything on COVID like frequently does, but that did put us behind schedule with the implementation of the software because we had to shift our emphasis and our time to deal with the pandemic. So because of this, we're really unable to identify the potential station locations. And a few other key items I discovered. There's some challenges with the land in Eagle Mountain, and I've been talking with EFO about that and navigating through that. And I think we'll come to a resolution here shortly. But there are also some items dealing with temporary housing, and really we were unable to complete any site surveys or preparations. So with identifying these unknowns, I was frankly uncomfortable moving forward until I was able to get the answers to my questions. One thing I did discover is that our logistics staff has done a great job up until this point, getting the groundwork done. They completed seismic surveys on all of our stations. They identified what stations needed to be rebuilt, and they identified to where we needed new stations to capture the future growth. They worked with an architect firm to design 2 station prototypes, a large and a small station. And these prototypes are a great starting point to work forward from. They're intimate, functional, single story, and they will be durable. These designs are what they worked with to come up with that $34 million amount. This number really only captured the price per square foot based on the designs. So as I said, a lot of great work's been done to get us to where we are today. But as I mentioned to you, none of my team has been involved in a project of this magnitude. So I'm kind of at the point now where I need to ask for help. You know, I'm not afraid to sit here in front of you today or any day for that matter to tell you when I'm uncomfortable. So I think where that help is going to come from is by hiring a project firm, getting them on board early, you know, hopefully in a couple of weeks. The firm that we're looking at is a local firm. It's on state contract, and Chief Robinson of Logistics will be following me up with our presentation for moving forward utilizing that firm. This firm, once they get started, over the next few months, will be able to take the lead on actual cost estimations, site surveys and preparation, and help us overcome the roadblocks that me and my team have identified. So in a few months, I'll be able to sit back here in front of you with real numbers that I can stand behind. As I stated in the memo there, $34 million, it might be the number. But I would hate to be here again in a couple of years asking for more money, or maybe telling you that I can build 6 stations and a really nice concrete pad, you know, because I ran out of money. So I think I appreciate the need to move quickly based on great bond rates, but I really believe that by slowing down just a few months, I'll be able to comfortably say that I can handle this to and I'll be able to deliver what you in the community can be proud of. In the long run, I think we'll be in a better position for that. So that's all I have there. Again, I said the memo is on page 55. If there's any questions from that or any other questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
Are there any questions for Assistant Chief Burchett? Any comments? I appreciate that you're willing to say, let's slow down just a little bit. Let me make sure that we all understand this. So I'm totally on board with that, taking a pause.
This is Mayor Hale. What kind of a time frame are you looking at reasonably to meet with a construction firm and come to the board with your thoughts and ideas and plans?
Yeah, thank you. That largely depends on how quickly we can get the firm on board. The reason that we are choosing a state contract firm is we can hire them as quickly as you guys will allow us to. In speaking with them, they need about 60 to 90 days to really do a good cost estimation for us. So within 2 to 3 months, I can be coming back with some good numbers.
Thank you.
Assistant Chief, so we've already picked, you've picked a project management firm. It's a private firm?
Well, there's 3, Mayor, on the state contract right now, and we've identified one that we think will work best for our needs, and that's what Chief Robinson is going to go into here in a little bit more depth. But yeah, there's 3 on state contract currently.
And we don't have to send this out as a request for proposal. We can just pick one and go with them.
Yeah, since they're on the state contract already, we can pick one and go with it.
And do you have any budget for what this will take for the project management?
Yeah, Chief Robinson will go into that, but they're about 1.63% of the total project cost. Estimated time between now and when we get the resolution, it's about $20,000 to $25,000 per month, if I'm correct, Zach.
Yes, that's correct. Jeff Silvestrini, I fully support hiring a construction management team. You know, typically our guys are firefighters, are not construction managers, and that will serve us well, not only in coming up with cost estimates, but I think in managing construction when these stations are built. So I don't object to that. I would encourage you, Chief, and Chief Robinson as well, to move this matter along because of the favorable bonding rates. And I don't want to miss the mark on that, but I don't have a problem in pausing this for the reasons that you presented.
It looks like as we're sliding into agenda item number 8, Chief Peterson, would you like to chime in on this?
Well, I'll share that, and I've shared this with Dominic as well. You know, one of the pieces that we were kind of always looking at was more of a January timeframe. What moved us forward was the bond rates. And we knew that Dark Horse was going to give us the information, and you guys granted that project to move through. And we felt pretty confident that the 34 million was good for construction, but we could work out the details. The need to move faster put some pressure under both Dominic and Zach. And I want to share that Dom had the courage to really challenge the push. And I know that you were all expecting a resolution on this agenda that would authorize the funds. And I appreciate the willingness to pause for a minute. In addition, and maybe even before Zach dives in, is that there is some, it wasn't a unanimous vote. There is some concern about the move forward as quick as we potentially are, and there's still concern about the economy in comparison to bond rates when that fits in. And the Riverton has looked at the potential, well, they've indicated their intent and planning to leave the UFSA. And I wanted to give Councilman Henderson a chance to speak a little bit about some of the analysis that's been going on between Harriman and this same issue. They've been really, really open and good about conversations with Tony and some of those discussions, but I'll turn the floor to Councilman Henderson for a minute just to share an update.
Well, I just wanted to follow up on Chief Burchett's memo. Our council met last week and discussed a lot of these concerns. As you know, in the last board meeting, I voted no as far as proceeding with the bond for a lot of these reasons and others. As Chief Peterson mentioned, we've been working with him and his team to do our own evaluation of Harriman's funding of services going forward, not just for fire service, but all the other services. So it's kind of an ongoing analysis that we're doing. However, we were also planning on more of a January timeframe and thinking we would have third, fourth quarter to really bring some of our conclusions and concerns to the board and work through that with an accelerated timetable for the bond. It kind of raised some alarm bells for us. So we've increased our communication with Chief Peterson and appreciate Dom and his team's work, really looking at some of those concerns. We appreciate kind of the pause as we continue our evaluation. As you all know, Harriman's growing very dynamically. A recent news story, I guess we're one of, if not the fastest growing city in the United States, which is not necessarily a good thing when it comes to planning. So we're going through some significant financial analysis on a lot of these things. So we appreciate the caution that's being displayed and pushing pause on the bond so we can continue that work on our side as well as coordinate with Chief Peterson and his team.
And a key part of this is, of course, 2 of the fire stations are in the Harriman area, which would dramatically change how we would move forward on this issue. But I respect the dialogue. I respect that. There's been no interest in leaving the UFA. It's simply a financing discussion, very much like what Riverton is looking at as well, which is also a growing community in that space. Anyway, with that, I'll turn it back to Zach and let him speak to the proposal relating to the project management services.
Sure. Thank you, Chief. Good morning, Chief Overson, members of the board. So just to kind of give you guys some background, from the lead-in from Chief Burchett. So, we've completed a lot of tasks up to this point. We've gotten ourselves to a point that we feel like we need some assistance moving on, just to the complexity of a multi-station construction project and frankly, our lack of experience building fire stations. So looking into the state contract piece, we found that there were 3 companies that have current state of Utah cooperative contracts for construction project management. 2 of those companies we met with. One was Construction Control. The second was MOCA. And then we had some follow-up phone calls with Construction Control as well, just to get some additional details and answer some questions. The third company is a general contractor. They also provide project management services, but we thought, and we even had that confirmed with some references that we spoke with, that there's some potential for conflict of interest with that firm due to their general contracting side. So we didn't speak with that company in this process, just so you're aware of that. The company that we are proposing to move forward with is Construction Control. That's based on our meetings with both companies and our follow-up phone calls. And then we also reached out to 3 references that were provided by Construction Control. In doing so, we got very positive feedback from all 3. In fact, it was so positive, I actually asked all of them for any negative feedback they could give me, and we received none. To give you some details, kind of what they were offering us, as listed in the state contract, Construction Control is the least expensive of the 3 companies, coming in at 1.63% of total project cost. They were telling us in 60 to 90 days from the beginning of the contract that they would have prepared preliminary cost estimates. And they're telling us that for the remainder of this calendar year, we'd be looking at anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000 per month as a cost for their services as we get started off. Now, this is a little bit heavier use at this point with, the heavy bit of design and cost estimating going on. So, that number will ebb and flow each month as we are invoiced for their services. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about the process to date.
Madam Chair, Jeff Silvestrini, I noticed in your memo, Chief, that this company has done stations in West Valley and Salt Lake City. And, there are a number of us who were on the committee that went on tours of those stations. Did they build the new stations in West Valley and the Salt Lake City station by Fairmount Park?
Yeah, so they were involved in the process for all those stations that you're referring to, Mayor. Now, where they were involved in the process differs. I believe for most of those stations, they were all involved in the cost estimating piece and somewhat in the change order reviews. So they didn't necessarily build those stations. Some of these other locations, they were involved in the whole entire process as project management firms. Other times they're just brought in as cost estimators and doing various other projects like that or smaller pieces like that involved in the construction process.
Would you be hiring them at this point just for cost estimation or for construction management down the road? Or is that something you'd have a separate contract for?
No, we were proposing to bring these guys in as a project management firm to manage the entire project from where we're at currently with design all the way through the completion of the project.
Any other questions? Thank you, Division Chief Robinson and Assistant Chief Burchett. Appreciate the update on this. And so we trust what you're doing, and we encourage you to move ahead carefully. Thank you. Thanks for taking time this morning. Agenda item number 9 is a public hearing to receive and consider comments on the proposed budget amendments to the 2020 fiscal year budget, and we need a motion to open the public hearing.
I, Councilmember Perry, move to open the public hearing to receive and consider comments on proposed amendments to the 2020 fiscal year budget.
Mayor Hale, second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Perry and a second by Mayor Hale to open the public hearing to receive and consider comments. And let's have a roll call on that, please.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Bowen,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Hale,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Knoop,
Aye.
Overson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Silvestrini,
Yes.
Snellgrove,
Aye.
Stewart,
Yes.
Westmoreland.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll ask Patrick and Cindy, is there any public comment in the form of email or questions?
None.
Nope.
Any,
Nothing here.
thank you. Any comment from the board? Then I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second, Mayor Hale.
We have a motion by Councilmember Snellgrove to close the public hearing, seconded by Mayor Hale. Roll call, please.
Bailey,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Hale,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Knoop,
Aye.
Overson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Silvestrini,
Yes.
Snellgrove,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Westmoreland,
Yes.
Great. That brings us to agenda item number 10, and this is the resolution to approve a budget amendment for the 2020 fiscal year. Tony, do you want to elaborate?
Absolutely. Thank you, Board Chair Overson. We're on page 61 in your packet. We don't have a ton of amendments, but there are a few, and I'll just quickly go through those. So the first amendment, they're listed at the bottom there. You can see what we're asking you to amend. So the first one is to add property tax, a little over 200,000 to the budget to match the certified rate. The second one can come off because we chose not to do the additional judgment levy, so we don't need that added to the budget. Third item is what we just talked about. So if you approve this additional 150,000 to the budget, that will be used towards the construction management firm. So here's your chance to approve us moving forward with that project. Asking just for a transfer of 62,000 between just a couple of accounts. So we did a roof repair at Station 116 through Salt Lake County. That's not our station, so we don't want to leave that in capital assets. We don't have the asset to capitalize. It's the county's asset, so we just need to move that expenditure into an operating account. And so that's what
Tony, I show that as Station 110 on the.
You're right. Thank you. 110. Thanks for catching that, Mayor Hell.
Yeah.
So that's just a transfer. That's not new money, just moving between accounts. We're asking to add a new account called impact fee refunds. In the past, we were just netting those in the revenue account, but the state has asked us as we refund impact fees to account that as an expenditure. So we don't do that very often, 3 or 4 times a year, but asking for a couple $1,000 to be added to the budget for those. And then the last one in the general fund is the reduction in the estimate for the UFA member fee. As you're all well aware, as we went through the budget process, we came in with a member fee less than what we were guessing, what we were estimating at the beginning of the year. So we can reduce that by a little over 500,000. And so you can see that new member fee amount. The last one, just a minor transfer between our debt service fund and our capital projects fund. When we closed out the refunding of the bond, there was just a little bit of money left in the debt service fund. We just need to true that up $760 between the two funds. So those are the amendments for UFSA. Be happy to address any questions if you have any.
Just a comment here on the 150,000 for this station construction management. If bonding doesn't occur this year and that reimbursement doesn't occur before the end of this year, if a city like Riverton, we exit and we have a fund balance calculation, I would think that that reimbursement would still be due based on our proportionate share. So
Sure.
I just want to make that note based on the prior motion to move forward with bonding that Riverton is not a part of that bonding.
Other comments? Thank you, Tony, for explaining that to us. So if there are no other comments, then we are to, let's see, I'm looking for a motion to adopt this resolution.
I, Councilmember Perry, move to adopt Resolution 06-2020B approving a budget amendment for the 2020 fiscal year as presented.
Kathleen Bailey, I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Perry and a second by Councilmember Bailey to adopt Resolution 06-2020B, approving a budget amendment for the 2020 fiscal year as presented. Any discussion on this motion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Owen,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Hale,
Aye.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Knoop,
Aye.
Overson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Pastrana,
Yes.
Nelgrove,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Moreland.
Yes.
Perfect. Motion carries. We are on agenda item number 11. This is the District Administrator Report. EFO, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you, Mayor. The only update I have with Riverton is they've made us aware that they have received responses for the RFP for the feasibility study. And so they've given us time to take a look at it. And so we have a scheduled meeting to discuss with Riverton City. So that's where we are with this process, just discussing the feasibility study at this time.
Thank you. Thank you for the update.
And I'll just, if I can comment, if that's okay,
Please.
is that meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 22nd. So
we're moving along. Great. Next on the agenda, I don't see a closed session. So at this time, I'll take, is there any additional comments or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
motion to adjourn.
Second, Knoop.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We are adjourned. Now, I think we need to stay tuned because we have another meeting.